welcome and good afternoon to Dr. Mohammed Yunus Yassin, President of the Association of Science, Technology and Innovation, ASTI, Dr. Umayal Munusami, Project Director of the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022, Working Group Committee members, students, teachers, parents and viewers out there. Today, we are all gathered here virtually to witness the special official launch of the ASTI Feynman Challenge AFC for the year 2022. This year marks the third year for the AFC, and we are pretty sure that all of you are eagerly waiting for the updates on this project. Now, just to give you a brief overview of this project, the ASTI Feynman Challenge is conducted virtually, where students in teams of 2 to 5 members are given the opportunity to participate in an exciting science challenge from the safety of their respective locations. Teams can be made up of parents and children, siblings, or even friends or neighbors, and so on. The AFC requires the teams to come up with an invention based on the scientific principles and concepts that they have learned in school. The inventions designed should be made out of common household items that are easily accessible. For example, a team can design and build a catapult using clips and rubber bands and use it to demonstrate Newton's third law. After coming up with their respective inventions, teams are required to record a video where they explain the scientific concept behind their invention. In conclusion, the invention is actually a teaching tool to facilitate and demonstrate a scientific principle of the team's choice. As for the videos, they should not be longer than 5 minutes and they can be recorded using mobile phones. Upon completion, teams are required to upload their videos to YouTube. Now, looking back on the response towards the ASTI Feynman Challenge in the year 2021, we received 660 registrations across 5 different countries: Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, India and Thailand, of which 322 teams successfully submitted their videos. Likewise, we are anticipating your immense support as always, and hopefully a higher number of participation as well for this year. Now, without further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Umayal Munusami, the Project Director of the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022, to give her welcome speech. Let's all welcome Dr. Umayal.
Hello everyone. First of all, thank you to ASTI for having me as a Project Director for ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022, or also known as AFC 2022. And I am very happy to be here today with all of you to launch AFC 2022. Probably all of you might think, who is the man on my virtual background? He is Richard Feynman. He born on May 11, 1918. He was an American theoretical physicist who received Nobel Prize in Physics in 1965 for his contribution to the quantum electrodynamics. So that is how this competition got its name, ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022. Well, this will be another fantastic third year for ASTI in organizing this competition. The uniqueness about this competition is that this competition not only allowing participation among friends, among your schoolmates or your classmates, which is common in many competitions, but it is also allow participation among family members. For example, with your brother, with your sisters, probably with your parents, or who knows, probably with your grandparents. Just be creative. Besides that, this competition are not requiring you for a submission fees. It's all free. I can say that this is the true wow factor that present in this competition. Family members' participation and free submission. In each year, we have been receiving an increased number of participation, and my team have to nominate quite a number of judges to actually evaluate your submission, okay, your video submission. But don't worry, for your information, all our judges are professional scientists who is actually working in an established organization, and they will be evaluating all your video submission based on marking scheme which was designed and developed by my working group committee. So you don't have to worry, okay? And this year, my working group committee members will actually coming up with an autonomous marking system, which will actually ease all our judges in their judging process. Therefore, we are actually targeting high numbers of submission from all of you. Besides that, in our previous speech, Dr. Yunus also have mentioned that there will be amazing prizes actually awaiting all of you. So what are you waiting for? Just grab this opportunity. Challenge yourself. Personally, as a project director, I'm so keen to view all your submission. Therefore, do check out ASTI website, or you can even follow their social media platform to download the competition brochure in hand, because we want you to aware of all the important deadline, and we also want you to know what is the rule and regulation during the video submission, because we want to minimize the error during the submission process. Well, before I end my speech today, I thank all of you for being here to celebrate the launch of ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022. Stay tuned for the launching and have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Umayal, for your wonderful speech and for your continuous support towards the AFC. With great pleasure, now we would like to invite Dr. Mohamed Yunus Yassin, President of the Association of Science, Technology and Innovation ASTI, to deliver his speech and officially launch the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022. Let's all hear from Dr. Mohamed Yunus Yassin.
Hi everyone, I'm Yunus, the President of the Association of Science, Technology and Innovation. Welcome today to the launch of the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022. Just to give you a brief background on how we started the Feynman Challenge. This was in the year 2020 during the height of the COVID lockdown in Malaysia. The government had just announced the lockdown and the school closure of schools. And we at ASTI, we are very concerned about the learning of young people and how this lockdown would have affected learning of young people. So we had to come up with some kind of a program that will help you guys continue to learn, especially learning from home and learning it online. So there's of course this transition, number one from live face-to-face learning to learning online, and then from not being able to meet your friends and learn, the peer-to-peer learning things would have also been gone because you're not going to school and meeting your friends. So we thought, what is the best way to kind of have a happy middle ground in which you can, number one, learn from your teachers, number two, learn from your friends as well. So that's when the idea of ASTI Feynman Challenge came about, and it came about very quickly. Within 2 weeks of the day the school was closed, we had completed all the modules, and we have already came up with a clear idea on how to run this particular program. And we called it the Feynman Challenge because it uses the pedagogy learning learning technique of that was developed by Richard Feynman, who is a Nobel Prize winner in physics from MIT. It's quite well known. Richard Feynman is considered one of the greatest mind of modern times, especially post World War II. And he had a way in which he teach his students, where he says that instead of me teaching you, he would ask his students to explain to him certain scientific principles. And in science, math, and other subjects as well, in economics and all that, you've got concepts which are more complex because it requires understanding of a lot of different components to be able to understand one particular principles, right? So how do you bring this component together? And Richard Feynman believed that one of the ways to do it is to be able to explain something which is very complex in a simple way in which even a small child can understand, right? So the third law of Newton, let's take the third law of Newton. For every action, and there is an equal and opposite reaction. How will I be able to explain this so that, say, a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old child is able to understand, right? So there are many techniques of doing it. One is explaining it via stories. You can tell a story and using the story to explain how the third law of Newton was working in the particular story. Or you can use demonstrations, experiential learning. You actually ask the child or the young person to do an experiment. And when the child watches that thing happening, then you say, this is what the third law is, right? So as I said, there's so many different ways in which you can teach a simple concept. I mean, a complex concept, especially in science and mathematics, right? So that is why we called it the Feynman challenge, because this is called the Feynman technique, which is maybe you'll find this in all the modules. The Feynman technique is based off 4 different steps. One is to identify the problem or the concept you want to teach, and then you explain it in a simple way, and then you listen back to what you explain and find gaps in your knowledge, because that's one of the way. Remember, I told you that in Feynman challenge there's a lot of components. In a scientific principle, in a complex scientific principle, there are a lot of components, right? And when you explain it, only then you realize which is the component which is missing in your explanation. So when you explain and listen to yourself explaining, you will then realize that there are certain components that are missing in your explanation. So you then try to re-explain by adding the information or components that were missing in your first explanation. So you keep reiterating this until you come to a final explanation in which the entire concept is explained very simply, again, so that a very young person or a layman who's got no experience in the particular subject that you're trying to teach is able to understand, right? So that's basically the Feynman technique. And the advantage of doing the Feynman technique is it's called the flipped classroom, where the learning itself is in your hands, the learner, right? And the teacher now becomes facilitators, or the person that's trying to teach you the particular concept. They're just facilitators for your own learning. And we thought that this technique is very good, especially when you're at home, you're stuck at home, and you won't be meeting your teachers very often, right? So that's one of the reasons why we chose the Feynman technique to launch during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns. Because again, the learning process is now given over to the student, to the learner, right? So that is how the Feynman technique started. So I'm not going to go too much into the detail on what are our terms and conditions and what are the things that you need to do. But in a nutshell, there is one added thing, because we are the innovation-based society. You have to innovate, right? In your teaching, you have to innovate and come up with a new way of teaching that particular that particular concept. So you can either invent a device, or you can come up with a new system, a new way of explaining, or you can even tell your own story. You can come up with a different story. Remember I told you that one way to explain this is to tell a story. So you actually write your story, which is not used elsewhere. So this story is something that you yourself have invented, so to speak. Right. So that is what makes the ASTI Feynman challenge slightly different from the Feynman technique itself. So we are looking for something innovative for you to produce in using the Feynman technique to explain the complex concept, right? As I said, this is the third year running. We got 3 categories. Category 1 is primary school, upper primary. Category 2 is secondary schools. And category 3 is 18-year-olds and above, which would be tertiary students. So this will be like you could be a university student, or you could be a PhD student, or you could be a teacher, or you could be a retired teacher. That means you have been teaching a long time and then you have retired. In fact, when we ran the first competition, I think one of the winners was a retired teacher who came up with an amazing explanation of a simple scientific concept. And because of her experience being able to teach this for many years, she's able to explain it well. So we do encourage in category 3, even people who have retired, in fact, especially with people who have retired, because you got so much of experience, to put the experience and to use and in coming up with an explanation of the particular concept, right? So for each 3 categories, we got prizes, but as I said, the prizes are not that important for me. I think what is more important, whether or not you win or lose, that's not important. What is important is you participate, and more importantly, that you learn in your participation, right? Again, there's one more question that a lot of people ask is, do you have to be a school-based team? No, because remember, again, this entire program started during the pandemic lockdown. So we encourage even families to be part. So you can participate as a school, you can participate as a family, in which you have your brothers or your parents or even your grandparents involved in your team. And how we categorize the category A, B, and C, you can find out in our terms and conditions. So that all those terms and conditions, all the different modules that you need to produce your video and use the Feynman technique is all available, and all the modules will be uploaded onto our website. And we also be running specific trainings as well for you to complete the task at hand for Feynman challenge. One last thing I would like to say is the Feynman challenge, the ASTI Feynman challenge, is to date one of the most successful programs that we have run, because when we ran it as a pilot in 2020, we were not sure how the response would be, but we found the response an amazing response. Within, as I said, we launched it less than a month after the lockdown. From conceptualization to developing the modules and launching it. And within a month after our launch, we already had more than 600 teams registering, of which at the end of it, in July, I think it was, the final, we had more than 300 videos that were submitted, right? So that was in 2020. And just to prove that this was just a one-off thing, because people were stuck at home and they were stressed out, they didn't know what to do. So maybe that's why it happened in 2020 like that. But when we relaunched the program in 2021, also during the lockdown, because in 2021 there was another lockdown in Malaysia and a lot of other countries. In 2021, again, we had about 660, in fact, the exact numbers were 660 registrations, the teams that registered, from which we received 322 videos, which is very big for us. And for a program which is so new, right, that just started. So, and also from the year 2020 and 2021, we started it straight away. It became an international competition with 7 teams in 2020. And then in 2021, we had 5 countries participating. teams from 5 countries, which includes Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, India, and Thailand. So that was last year. So again, this year we are hoping for more teams from different countries and all that. And as I say, what is important is not that you win or don't win. What is important is that you participate and you learn. And this learning technique, once you have mastered that technique, we hope that this skill will remain with you all the way in your learning experience in the future, in your own future. That will help you build your own knowledge. So with that, I think I've spoken quite a lot now. I'd like to thank all the organizers and also the working group members, Dr. Umayal and his team, for this year, for running this year's program. I'd also like to thank the Secretariat in ASTI for helping run this program this year as well. So with that, I would like to officially launch the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022, and we look forward to your participation and we look forward to your videos as well. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Mohamed Yunus Yassin, for your remarkable speech and for being a great pillar of strength for the AFC. Moving on to one of our main highlights, we now present to you the official launch video of the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022. 1, 2, 3, and here we go. Wow, that's amazing. And with that, the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022 is now officially launched. Let's all take up this exciting science challenge right away. And to all the students, teachers, and parents out there, you can now begin submitting your registrations online. We truly hope that with the special virtual launch today, we have provided you with a clear overview of the AFC 2022. For more details, you can always visit www.asti.org.my/AFC2022, where you can access the registration link, terms and conditions, modules, and the answers to the frequently asked questions. Here are some key points from the video that we just watched together. The AFC 2022 is divided into 3 main categories: The first category, primary school, age of 10 to 12 years old. Category 2, secondary school, age of 13 to 17 years old. And category 3, adults, above 18 years old. Now, these categories are determined by the eldest member in the team. If you match the requirements of any of these categories, your first step is to form a team with a minimum of 2 members and a maximum of 5 members. Then, you would need to submit your online registrations to ASTI. Not to worry, the Secretariat will be in touch with you on the next steps. Just to recap, teams are first required to come up with an invention based on a scientific principle, followed by a video recording which explains the team's choice of scientific concept through a demonstration using the invention that they have come up with. In other words, these inventions would be teaching tools to simplify and facilitate a layman's understanding of the particular scientific principle. Besides exploring science at greater depths, what's exciting about this challenge is that you stand a chance to win awesome cash prizes. First prize, 700 ringgit. Second prize, 500 ringgit. Third prize, 300 ringgit. Fourth prize, 200 ringgit. And fifth prize, 100 ringgit. These 5 placings that come with their respective cash prizes as well as digital certificates will be given for all the 3 categories. Additionally, we do have 3 special exclusive awards for the teams who have gone to great lengths in producing fantastic videos. These teams would be rewarded with 500 ringgit and digital certificates. Now, most importantly, all the participants of the ASTI Feynman Challenge 2022 will be awarded digital certificates of participation. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Grab the chance, and all the very best to everyone. May the force be with you. We have now come to the end of our session for today. A big thank you to everyone for taking their time and joining us today on this meaningful event. See you on our next YouTube Live event. This is Sharvina Sara, your MC of the day from ASTI, signing off. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.